You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, it is Thursday the 18th of July 2024. Welcome to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. And I've actually had a far more productive day today than I have for quite a while, actually. Now, I haven't actually written anything new, but what I needed to do was sit down and work out how my story was going to end. So, in broad strokes, I knew what needed to happen. I certainly kind of know exactly where each character needs to be, who's still alive, that is, in the epilogue. It was just getting there, and there were a couple of little points that didn't make sense to me that I've had to work out. So, as I said, at 4:30 today, I met with Tani Campbell, who's my friend who is currently writing book 7 of her Bow Street Society series. That's www.bowstreetsociety.com. So basically we just did a bit of writing. She was actually writing, and I was just planning, sort of outlining. But yeah, it's the most I've done in a long time. It's her idea to do that, and I probably wouldn't have got anything done if she hadn't suggested it, so thank you for that, Tani. And yeah, so there were 2 problems that I needed to iron out. And one of them is about a character who basically, he has some information in his head which is false. It's effectively a trap for the trees, but he doesn't know that. Now, he's unconscious, so nobody can actually tell him that. He's very close to death anyway. But I needed... Basically, it would be very easy for somebody else to communicate to the trees that this information is false, so for God's sake, don't act on it, you're being set up. And I had to find a way of getting round that, and I sussed it, and I sussed out how that might work. So that was brilliant. And then there was a secondary issue, and that is there's a sequence really right towards the very end where I have a load of army characters that are effectively adding as bodyguards to my ambassador of the trees, Ronnie. And they've also been basically given the order that if the government changes at the general election, it's very likely that you're going to get orders that say, stop what you're doing, hand her in. You must not obey these orders, you must stick to your original orders and protect her, whatever else happens. And the majority of my army characters would not do that. They're going to basically think of their broader career and basically when they're told actually dob her in, or hand her in, they were going to do it. But I have a problem in that there's one character out of the 6 who everybody knows will not turn against the ambassador. And they had to address that. And what I didn't want them to do, the logical thing would be to just shoot him, kill him, get rid of him that way. But again, I was very keen for that not to happen because he's one of the characters I want to make it to the end. So I had to find a way of keeping him alive that made sense. And I was really struggling with that. And it even occurred to me that I might have to just give up on it and kill him, which would have been such a shame because of all the setup I've done with that character. But anyway, I sussed that out as well. So I have written, basically, a chapter outline from chapters 33 to 39. I know who lives, who dies, I know who exits the story and at what point. I'm kind of disappointed because I've had to write Marianne out of the story, who's one of my favourite characters. I've had to write them out early. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they're dead, but there is a point beyond which in the story they cannot take part in the story. They'll be in the epilogue if they survive, but I'm kind of disappointed to have to write them out because they're my non-binary character that I've talked about. I created them purely to get used to using the different pronouns, and they have fast become my favourite character, and they are going to survive, to be honest. They will make it into the epilogue, but I did think they'd be around a little bit longer, virtually until the epilogue, but actually there comes a point in the story where the only logical thing I can do with them is is something else. So that's a bit of a shame, because I adore Marianne, and but they are going to have something nice happen to them at the end. So although I've not written any actual words, I've not written any actual material in the book, I have had a good day, because I have outlined the remaining chapters and I know exactly what needs to happen now to get me to the end. I've even kind of worked out what the jeopardy is at the end of the story, and it's all about protecting Mackenzie. So Oakley as a character feels that throughout the whole story they've let this lad down. He's absolutely right, they have. It's not his fault, to be fair. All the things that went wrong happened long before he was involved in Arbor Associates, but he feels very strongly that they have to help Mackenzie at all costs. Mackenzie is unconscious and on a death's door, and the only way they can save him is by having one of the trees save him. And obviously it's a fantasy or urban fantasy story, so that makes sense within the context of the story, but there's also people that could prevent that from happening. And I wasn't quite sure how Oakley was going to die, but I think he is going to die to make sure that Mackenzie is safe. And that feels like a very noble and appropriate end for the character, because he's a character that everybody's just assumed is a hired gun, that he's only involved because he gets a free pass to the world after the trees have killed the majority of the human race. And actually that's not the case. I mean, I have a chapter earlier on where he, it turns out he was a very committed member of Greenpeace before he was ever involved with Arbor Associates and stuff. So yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm talking details which mean nothing to you if you don't watch the live stream or don't know the characters, but it basically means I know where everybody is, I know where everybody needs to be, I know how to finish this mammoth story. So I'm very happy about that. No actual writing, but a good outline I can use, and I can actually start writing. So just to reiterate, the material I had written for chapter 33, I am going to ditch. I'm going to start chapter 33 with my new outline. And that's it. So thanks to Tani for inspiring me to get that done. That's it. I'm in Italy tomorrow. I will try and do a podcast tomorrow, but I don't think I'll have much new to say. So if I'm not here tomorrow, no biggie, but I will be here, definitely be here the day after. So thank you so much for listening. So glad it's so upbeat for once. Take care. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my Linktree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.